in the age of AI and all this kind of formulaic, algorithmic entrepreneurship we're sitting in the middle of, and I'm not just talking about sector-wise, I'm talking about like culturally in startups. We've spent the last 15 years trying to distill it down to an algorithm and a formula of like, start here, do this, end result here. I think that era's over. And I think, if we can inject some kind of heart, soul, connection, think about the knock-on effects of humans living in an algorithm or robotic world, like there's something about that level of vibration that I think is going to set those founders and those companies apart. The humanity of it, I think, gets lost. Like talk to a founder about building a business, and most you'll find when they're reflecting on it would suggest that it was the most kind of refining thing they've ever done in terms of learning about themselves. And you can't get that through, a step-by-step guide. And I think in doing that, you also give up like a part of what you uniquely bring to what it is you're building, right? So if you're starting a business for the sake of starting a business, I think that, that's fine. It's probably going to be less interesting to somebody like us. But if you're doing something because you just can't not do it, if you're doing something because it's so core to who you are, what you believe, I think that should be a defining characteristic of the business. And I think the situation we've put ourselves in with these tightly defined boxes and patterns we match against in investing is that you not only take the dilution on the cap table, you take that dilution in the business you build, right? You have to dilute down so much of that uniqueness that you bring to the problem or to the opportunity. And I think Indy's always been about how do you insulate yourself from that, whether it's dilution on your cap table or dilution on your vision. The less reliant on that next round of funding, the more of yourself you can inject into what it is you're building. I'm just a believer that this next wave of generational companies, that's going to be a pretty definitive part of it. I think, you've already got the monoliths that are out there. You've got these like mega companies that, control so much of the airspace and budget. And so I think you've got to bring something really uniquely you to the picture that feels personal. I still think there's a way to bring absolutely unique approaches. They just might not be in the sectors that investors care about. There are people who look at a problem space and say, it's not fundable, I'm not going to tackle it, even though they feel compelled to work in the area. I think letting the kind of tail wag the dog on opportunities that are fundable versus not, and juxtapose that with the thing you care deeply about and that you have high conviction around, I think that is a real dimension of decision making for a lot of entrepreneurs in terms of what they're going to pursue and who will give them permission to pursue it. And it'd be a shame if we only end up with the things that VCs are excited about funding.